Good morning. I came on camera for 2 seconds before I put my avatar back on. Hold on. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about Saquon Barkley real quick before I go into my other topic. Good morning for those of you who are new to my channel. I'm the Black opinionated woman, also known as a Bo. And I just want to talk about Saquon Barkley for a second. Now, for those of you who know, you guys see me. I wear the New York Giants lanyard. My team sucks. They suck so much. The suckosity is real. Suck, 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 right? But I was always a Saquon Barkley fan in terms of his talent. Uh, I don't really know this man, but long story short, the Giants went on Hard Knocks over the summer. And for those of you who know, we all saw, the GM and all the management people. I won't say they disparaged Saquon. I think John Mara, whatever his name is, that one of the owners of the organization, did not want to have Saquon Barkley end up at the Eagles. So they let him go. They didn't franchise him or anything or give him the few extra million that he deserved. They let him go for free. The Eagles pick him up. Now the rest is history. So here I am. What I am saying is this. They get to play their final regular season game on Sunday. Talk about the Eagles. Now, my husband is an Eagles fan. And of course, they're going to end their regular season playing again against a division and conference foe, the New York Giants. And so the question is being raised, should they let him try to get the 101 or 100 and however many rushing yards to beat the all-time record? The Philadelphia Eagles are poised to make a playoff run and hopefully end up with the return to the Super Bowl. And so there's this discourse of centered around whether or not he should play on Sunday. Should he play on Sunday to get the rushing record to beat, I forget the name, is it Eric Dickerson or whatever the name is? He needs 101 yards or something like that, give or take. I know it's the last game of the season. And so with Jalen Hurts, which is the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, he was out on protocol. And so he was out last week. And then of course, was it 2 weeks now? I can't remember. So basically they have wrapped up the second seed, I believe. And so what some people are saying is no, they should not risk running Saquon Barkley in the event that he gets hurt. And there are people who are saying he should go ahead and try to get the record. And what I think is this. I think Saquon Barkley should try to go for the record. And yes, it would be against my New York Giants. And this is the reason why. Yes, there's always a possibility you can get hurt. They got all of these reasons why he shouldn't. But I think if this record has stood for 40 years, that means there are very few opportunities for people to break this record. Only 8 other athletes in front of him, as far as running backs, have actually achieved 2,000 rushing yards. This record has stood for 40 something years. And so, with that being said, there are very few opportunities you get to etch your name in history. And I get it. Everyone's like, look at the big picture. Everybody's playing it safe and playing it conservative. But this is the thing. The Eagles played all season long, playing aggressive, playing fearless. So to make them change who they are at the end of the season, I don't know. I just kind of feel like let them be whatever it is that their identity is. So if they want an opportunity to help him get this record, I think they should. Now, what I do think is going to happen is the Giants are going to be like, I know we got rid of you, but what you're not going to do is get the record on us. I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure that Saquon Barkley does not get that record. But I just think you don't want to have any regrets, right? You have an opportunity to try to etch your name in history with the most rushing yards. You don't want to have any regrets. And yes, the goal is Super Bowl, but you can have the goal for both. I think people are like, oh, well, he can get hurt. He cannot get hurt. he can get hurt in the next game, and then you still may not have an opportunity. In the playoff game, he can get hurt in the playoff game, and then it still may damage your opportunity, damage your chances for you to do well in the Super Bowl. So I think when you are presented with an opportunity like this, I say you go for it. And it's going to be the hardest 101 yards that he's ever gotten because it's against his former team, and everybody knows he's going through history. He has been the best running back in the league this year, and yeah. So those are my thoughts on Saquon Barkley. Now I want to move on because we all know that there has been this tremendous discourse between Elon and Vivek and the MAGA people regarding H-1B visa immigrants. We already know, I talked about it a few days ago, that Vivek was like, you know what? Look, you dum-dums, we have to get smart, skilled workers from our H-1B visa immigrants. They come from where they come from. Many of them come from places like India. The MAGA right are upset. They're upset. So then you'll see other discourse centered around whether or not people should be getting their education, they should be getting trades. I saw something on the news yesterday, which I typically don't watch the news, but I saw something on the news yesterday. They were talking about how, like, there's a lot of people right now in Gen Z going for their trades. There has been a huge uptick in those getting their trades education. So the question I would pose to everyone is, do you think it's better to get a trade, or do you think you should get an education? There are pros and cons of each. With the trades, there are people who are getting these skills, these trade skills, and they're making great money. So when people ask me, what do you think? This is what I think. I am going to push for my kids to get their education first. And it's not because the trades are not valuable, let's be clear. But when you look at long-term data, people who have been educated typically will out earn those who are not. I look at what the wealthy are doing. I always pay attention to, like, all these people saying, don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, they will try to push your children into doing something, but what you know what they're going to do? They're going to make sure their children don't go into the military, right? They're going to make sure their children always remain educated. Because this is the thing, like I have said in many, many videos, one of the things that will help you learn, one of the things that you'll learn about is when you're in college. I'm not saying college is the be all end all, but the one thing college will do, one thing attending the university will do, is it's going to expose you to a lot of things versus being hyper focused on one skill. You're going to get exposure to multiple disciplines. And you're going to start to understand how many of these disciplines are connected. That's why I always talk about things like systems. People just don't seem to understand that everything is a system. You have a medical system, social systems, economic systems, computer systems, education systems. Areas where they value education, they typically tend to earn a lot of money. All you got to do is look at a map of the United States. Areas where education is not highly valued, look at what's happening where the people are the poorest. And a lot of times that's where a lot of the brown people are. So you look in the South, the red states, they are surviving based off of the blue states. I saw somewhere the other day that somebody called it a Pyrrhic victory, a Pyrrhic victory. Phyrric. I don't know if I spelled that correctly. Because it's almost like no good deed goes unpunished, right? It's kind of like, was the victory worth the cost? So the when you look at what's happening, those who tend to be educated, see what happens is you understand nuanced other areas and how they relate. And you understand methodologies and you start to understand the system of things, right? Your mind gets stretched. At the end of the day, when you look at what, like, the oligarchs are doing, all of these wealthy billionaires, at the end of the day, regardless of what they say, look at what they do. Their children are getting educated. I want to make myself clear. So when people start saying I should tell my kids to go into the trades, I'm like, no, you tell your kids to go into the trades. I'm going to tell my kids to go get educated first. Because what happens when that skill no longer need you? What if it's replaced with something, right? AI, automation, or whatever. Then what? You got to go get retrained. And we should always be retraining and we should always be educating ourselves. But what I will say is this: you can't take away education. Some of these skills can be replaced, right? And that's not to say that if you're educated that you can't be replaced by AI or something too. But what I will say is you need people to still help train you in AI. You need people to help train the robots and stuff like that. You need people to teach AI language models, right? I think that when people, for me, I always tell my kids, you need to be educated. You can still have a side skill. You can have that skill, but they can't take away education. See, because your skilled labor, like I said, even when you look at what's happening in manufacturing stuff back in the day, a lot of that was replaced with machines and stuff. People lose jobs if they can't be trained into something else. I think the ceiling is always so much higher when you educate yourself. So there'll be people like, oh, well, you can start a business if you have a skill. And I'm like, shut up. Most people aren't starting a business in the skills. There are some, yes, in the trades, I'm sorry. There are some who are starting businesses in the trades, but the average person isn't just going out starting a business. They'll be like, you could do, they'll say, oh, you could do this. Well, heck, you can say that about a lot of things, but it's not happening. The average person isn't, the average skilled trade person isn't going out starting some bigger business. That's not to say that there aren't starting businesses, but what I'm saying is there are many people who like to make that argument, but it's like an empty argument. So yes, I totally value the skills. I say make sure you get your education. And if you want to get a skill too. I say do both. But what I don't think you should do is rest solely on a skilled trade. Those get like they become obsolete. I think your ceiling for earning potential is much higher when you're educated, when you have network. It doesn't mean it can't be done in the skilled trades. But what happens when you go to school is they force you to become broader with your knowledge, and then you start to specialize in in your education is. With the trades, you're just highly focused, highly skilled in one area, and you're great at it. You can make a lot of money, and you're knowledgeable. But I would say it's still better to get your education. So I look at what all of the oligarchs are doing. They're not sending their kids to the trade schools. All these people saying that, yeah, they want you to do it. They want you to service them. All right. So look, um, you know, this is a really good time for you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment. Now, for those of you who were in your feelings over my short, when I was giggling at all of the infighting going on right now, that was on Twitter/X, you got to get out of your feelings. You need to find a way to get your hee-haws at what's going on. You can't take everything so serious. All right. I'm getting ready to get off of this thing here. Let me come back online. All right, I had to turn my light on so you can see me because it is dark out here. It's about 4:52 a.m. and I will be at my engineering job in probably less than 10 minutes. Okay, the irony of all this. I will be at my engineering job in less than 10 minutes. But this is an opportunity for you to go ahead and support my channel because I'm practically amazing in every way and probably really can't do much wrong. Um, and leave a comment. Let me know the kinds of things that you want to talk about. What what questions do you want to have answered? Um, and that's pretty much it. So, all right. Let's have a good one.